Hello there fellow viewer, my name is Gabriel and today I'm counting down my top books of 2019. 2019 was a very good reading year and I have 16 books on my 2019 favorite shelf on Goodreads. However, I do not want to make this video too long, so I've narrowed it down to 8, I want to say, 9 or 10. There, let's go with 9 or 10. And since that's already quite a big number, let's jump into it. There is no particular order to these books, however, there is a top 3 at the end and a couple of honorable mentions. The first book I want to mention is coincidentally my first read of 2019, and that is Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. I honestly think you can't talk about Cloud Atlas as being just another book the same way you can't talk about Paris being just another city or Bohemian Rhapsody being just another song. It's a whole experience that just stands on another plane of existence because of how different and how deeply it made me feel. It really is unlike anything out there. I'm sure other authors have tried to do this Matryoshka doll type story. However, I don't think anyone has ever even reached the heels of what Cloud Atlas has managed to achieve. I'm not sure what someone who has watched just the movie would think about the story, but honestly, the book is just...
The book is just
a spiritual experience. And while the movie was an okay adaptation for people who have read the book and have previous knowledge, I do feel that if you want to experience the story the way it's meant to be experienced, read this book. I'm going to tell you nothing about it because that is how I think you should go into it. I don't even have words for Cloud Atlas, honestly. It was insanely good. It took me to another planet and brought me back. It tears you up and then pieces you, weaves you back together. It's good. The next book on my list is Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I do not know who wrote this, by Casey McQuiston, and I'm really sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Is the T silent? Who knows? This book was also quite a pleasant surprise. I saw someone tweeting about it, went to read the plot, and I immediately knew I needed to read this. I don't really know what the general consensus is about this book, but I freaking loved it. I was just blown away. I thought that gay YA had reached its peak, but I was so wrong. What really got to me about this book is how realistic the author made it out to be. I am not a political person at all, so maybe I'm not the one to see its flaws, but I honestly believe that if this particular situation were to happen in real life, this would be exactly how it would go down, except the role of the royal family in the UK. I think that's the only part that was kind of idealistically twisted. I'm pretty sure you know what this is about. This took the YA world by storm, and I thought it wasn't gonna get much attention, but it won like 2 Goodreads Choice Awards, which means people really liked it, and I just fucking devoured it. I was stuck in this unbelievable 7-hour traffic jam, and I just kept reading it. The next book I want to mention are kind of like a bunch of books. The Conquerors Saga, and I'm not sure if it's the Conquerors Saga trilogy, Conquerors Saga, just that, but anyway, these books are written by Kristen White. I finally got it in my head to finish this trilogy, and boy was I glad to do that because wow. I really, really think this trilogy does not get the attention that it deserves because it is phenomenal. I read And I Darken when it came out in 2017, and even though it took me to 2016, 2017, I don't recall. Anyway, it took me a while to get to the other books, but because I knew I wanted to reread And I Darken. So I did that, and I read Now I Rise and Bright We Burn, and those 2 books are just... This trilogy is so good. This is a reimagining of the story of Vlad the Impaler. She's a girl in this one, and there is a very big anti-hero element. Both of the main characters are amazing to follow, and the way they're written is so captivating. Now I Rise definitely takes the cake for my favorite one. Even though Bright We Burn is a fantastic conclusion, I really like this trilogy. You see, I want to categorize it as fantasy, but it's really not. It's more of historical fiction, like really fiction, but it reads like a really good, nicely crafted fantasy book. So if you like fantasy, historical fiction, if you go read the plot and find it minutely interesting, pick it up. I mean, wow. Also, queer leads. We really need that in fantasy. Go read it. Next we have one that everyone will probably recognize, and that is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I am slowly making my way through the Harry Potter series for the first time, and every time I feel like it, I pick one up. Last year was Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix, and I was kind of surprised by Order of the Phoenix, I'm not gonna lie. It was honestly sensational. I feel like the series is definitely growing and maturing with each book, and this one is by far my favorite. I'm not sure how problematic a statement that might be, because I've obviously stayed away from the fandom as to not be spoiled majorly. I really want to have my own opinion of the series, and so far it's been okay. I did enjoy how fun Goblet of Fire was, but the fact that Order of the Phoenix finally got really political, in the sense that we finally see the backdrop of why all of this is happening, we kind of see the backstory of some characters. It finally feels like the series is getting real, getting serious. I am definitely going to pick up Half-Blood Prince and hopefully finish with Deathly Hallows this coming year, and I am really curious to see if perchance the next two books are better than Order of the Phoenix, because, like I said, it was really good, really big surprise. Before I delve into my top 3, I have 2 honorable mentions. The first being Homework, a memoir of my Hollywood years by Julie Andrews and her daughter. As soon as I found out that this book was being written, I knew I was going to have to read it. I am the biggest Julie Andrews fan. My grandma was there when her movies were released. My mom grew up with those movies. I grew up with those movies, and getting to see Julie Andrews talk about these iconic moments in my and a lot of people's childhood in a way that you just haven't experienced yet was magical. It took me quite a while to finish it, but I didn't mind because I just felt really honored to get to see this point of view from Julie Andrews, because she is, you know, the icon that she is, and you get to hear her thoughts, know her opinions. She does take you through all those iconic moments that have made her the household name that she is, and if you do like her movies, I do recommend it. And the next honorable mention is The Rise of Kyoshi, and this was by F.C. Yee. The author is F.C. Yee. I will never not absolutely love anything that is set in this world. Just like I grew up with Julie Andrews movies, I grew up with Avatar. There is infinite amounts of love for the stories that take place in this world on my part, and it is honestly impossible for me to unattach myself from the bias that I have for this world, for this series, for these characters. The Rise of Kyoshi is a young adult novel about Avatar Kyoshi's kind of maturing into the Avatar, and it was really good. Again, I have an incredibly biased opinion about anything set in the Avatar world. That's why this is in the honorable mentions. It's not really ranked in my top 10, but I really, really enjoyed it. If any part of you liked Avatar and is curious to see just how deep this world goes and how clever these creators are, please give it a try. It's really good. It's a duology, and the next one is coming out next year, I anticipate. It was good. Read it. And if you haven't watched Avatar, honestly, what are you doing? So good. I also have to mention Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, just because I didn't expect myself to like this book so much. I only read it because it's Leigh Bardugo, and I'm not usually into very scary, creepy, dark, especially R-rated books. I just have to give props once again to the queen, Leigh Bardugo, because she has proved before that she can merge styles and genres. Six of Crows, in which she did the crime novel with dark fantasy, and now she's done like a whodunit mystery with dark fantasy again, except it's a contemporary setting. She just managed to do it really well. And I had never read a book like that. I'm really put off by crime thrillers, but this one really put me in the mood for them. If you know of any other books that read like this one, please let me know down below, because I'd love to read them. Okay, top 3 time. Let's get to it. My third favorite book of 2019 was Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. 2019 was the year I finished all of Cassandra Clare's series. I had started Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices about 3 years ago. I put them down because after reading 7 books set in this world, it was kind of getting a bit old, and I decided to pick them up again this year, and boy, Clockwork Princess did something to me. I honestly, to this day, I don't really know what was going on, what this experience was when I was finishing Clockwork Princess. I finally understand what people are going on about when they talk about Clockwork Princess. I finally understand why their eyes glint just a tad brighter when they talk about this book. Cassandra Clare, with this particular book, I won't talk about her other series, she managed to, it's special. I'm going to throw that word out there. The Infernal Devices, I really feel like they're a different trilogy than her other ones. It's just, It made me see Cassandra Clare in a whole different light. It made me respect her much more as a writer, because what she did here, no other book has ever reached that deep within me. I honestly don't even know how to express or explain these things. I only know that I kept tearing up for 2 or 3 days every time I thought about this book, which is constantly, because it destroys you. It burns you. It's just... I do understand that I'm a bit late to this party, but still, I am incredibly excited for The Last Hours. Chain of Gold's coming out. It's just, I cannot wait to see more of these characters, because they really left a big void. I read all of the, what's this one called? Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, Queen of Air and Darkness are...
the Dark...
Dark Artifices. Yes, that's it, Dark Artifices. I thought it was the Infernal Artifices. Anyway, I read those and I did enjoy them, but none of them quite made it to my top books of the year. I do really recognize the talent Cassandra Clare has in delivering a story, because having all of this in your head cannot be easy. There is only place for one Clare book on this list right now, and it's, without a doubt, Clockwork Princess. My second favorite book of 2019 was Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater, and oh boy, I was not expecting to like this book nearly as much as I did, and much like Leigh Bardugo with the Grisha trilogy and the Six of Crows duology, it really goes to show how much an author can mature, evolve, develop, because while I did enjoy The Raven Boys, this first book in this, I think it's a duology, was just so much stronger than The Raven Boys. I could not put it down. When I was away from it, all I wanted to do was read it and see where the story was going. Getting to know the Lynch brothers better was the best idea that Miss Stiefvater has had. It felt like it was really disjointed at first, and I had no idea what was going on, but by the time you got to the end, it made sense, and it was fun. I cannot wait until the next one. Mr. Ronan Lynch is just... he's just that character that you cannot help but like. And everything about the story is on point. The characters are fantastic. Plot is just really smart and plays out beautifully. The mythology and this world, the visual feast that is reading these books is just... I can't express it. You do not have to read The Raven Boys at all to get this book. And if reading a quartet is intimidating to you and it's putting you off this particular one, do not even hesitate to just jump into Call Down by the Hawk. And my computer was just rude enough to interrupt me there. I cannot wait till the next one. Just read it. It's so good. And finally, my favorite book of 2019, and honestly by a long shot, was The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This book, oh my god. It took me a while. I read about a third of it, put it down, read 3 or 4 other books, went back to it. And if while reading this near 900-page book, you feel the need to take a break, do that, because it did wonders for me. It really pushed me to appreciate this narrative for what it is. And I need to gush about it for a minute here, okay? Because I honestly do not know how Samantha Shannon managed to do it. To not only have these ideas in your head in the first place, but then to go and research, because this book takes so much influence from real world religions and activities and cultures, influences, and then to actually write it in the way that she did. The Priory of the Orange Tree takes all these classical fantasy tropes and merges them in a way that makes them feel brand new. I do not know how Miss Shannon did it. The world that she's created, the story that she's managed to craft, because it's just insane levels of minute attention to every single detail, and how this story plays out, how you can definitely see the contrast between the West and the East, what comes from above and what comes from below, and this symmetry that she has managed to incorporate into this story is honestly chilling. I'm remembering the story, and all I want to do is get back into it, because it's got everything that you would want in a fantasy. It's got everything that you would want in a book, period. Even if you don't like fantasy, I am telling you, go read this book. It's 850 glorious pages of quality content. The way that the same thing is happening in this world, but it's being perceived differently by everyone, and how everyone has a different story about the same happenings. It's so real world inspired, but at the same time she manages to make this fantastical, miraculously crafted world. I cannot sing this book's praises enough. If any part of you is interested in reading this book, please, I am telling you right now, the 850, 900 pages are so worth it, and it is honestly probably my favorite fantasy book ever written. I feel like it takes everything that's necessary from classic fantasy books and puts it in a very modern, very contemporary way. I mean, it's just amazing. The romance, the queer plot twist, the dragons, the world, the religion. Oh, it's so mind-blowingly good. I really hope that Samantha Shannon decides to write something else in this world, as she has hinted at. And it's made me really curious to read her Bone Season trilogy series thing. Anyway, wow, folks, just wow. And those are my top books of 2019. I am really curious to know if you've read any of them. What did you think of them? Did they make it into your top 10 list or top books list? I keep saying top 10. If they did not, what were your favorite books of 2019? Do you recommend them? Do you think they fit in with this theme? I honestly don't think I have a theme going on, but you know what I mean. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I see you next time, even though I do not know when that is. I just know I needed to put this video out there because 2019 was a good reading year. I really hope that the new decade holds just as much wonder and just as much fantastical reading material as this year and this decade honestly did. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'm not really sure when I'll see you again, but I hope it'll be soon. Goodbye!